Hey, this is Paul Martin.
And Ray the Roadie.
For the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast. How you doing today, Ray?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Fine. The weather's breaking. It's getting warm.
It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous out. We need to go golfing.
Okay. How about Saturday?
Okay, I'm down.
All right. Okay,
let's go.
Good deal.
But before that, we may need to speak to somebody about a podcast.
Okay. Who do you want to speak to?
Whoever you would like. And may you take the ball and run with it.
All right. How about Scott May?
Oh my goodness! I can't believe you came up. I was thinking of him too.
Where were you?
Yeah, I mean, God, tickling the old ivories, you know.
Yes, right. Well, Scott's had quite a career, and he's been well. We can let him tell us, but he's the organist, keyboard player with the Ides of March currently, and he's got a new CD of his own coming out in the next month or so, and so he's a busy guy. Even with the COVID-19 going, he's still been pretty busy.
Yes, he has. He's got quite an extensive history that really covers a lot of different areas, not just music alone.
That's right. Let's find out all about that. And give Scott a listen right now.
Let's do it. You know, I wish I had one of those little bells that you ring, you know, like at a hotel when you check in. You know, I wish I had one, because that would be a nice lead into this.
Yeah, it would.
Let's see what Scott has to say.
We're meeting today with Scott May, keyboard best known for keyboardist with the Ides of March. How you doing today, Scott?
Rocking and rolling. How about you guys?
We're doing well, thank you.
Doing good.
Here we are, man.
Now, I said you're keyboardist with Ides of March, but you play some other instruments too, don't you?
Yeah, I've been playing guitar for a long time, which I enjoy really a lot. I'm a duff guitarist. I know enough guitar to play in my tunes, not enough to be the guitarist in anybody else's band. But I also I played bassoon a million years ago, and I was actually in the drum corps in high school.
You've just about got everything covered there,
Right. One does one's best.
So tell us, well, going back to the early days, you played in Dreamer, you played in All Night Newsboys, if I'm correct, right? Didn't you play guitar?
I did play guitar in Dreamer. I started off, we had two keyboard players, a great Paul Darrow. But as things progressed with the band, I played more and more guitar. And at the end, I was the stunt guitarist. That's a great term that Zappa invented for Steve Vai. I was the stunt guitarist, and Anthony George was the real guitarist. And Dreamer, I had a lot of fun. You know, for a while, I didn't even own a keyboard, believe it or not.
Really?
Yes, sir. I probably went about 5 years, and I didn't own any keyboards at all. I was just playing guitar.
And you were writing some songs in Dreamer, right? With with Mark Dawson, correct?
With Mark and Richie Mahota, two great writers, and I wrote a bunch of songs for that band, and boy, that was a great band. I got a great story about that. Do you want to hear it?
Sure.
I've been with Hammond organ for a long time, and I go everywhere and do clinics for Hammond organ. And I was in Toronto at an event, and a guy came up to me, and he was a real nice guy, nice player. And I asked him if he was in a band. He says, yeah, he was in a band called the Kings. Remember the Kings? Switching to Glide?
Right, sure.
Well, back then, Dreamer was up for a record deal with Elektra. It was us or the Kings, and they went with the Kings.
Oh.
So I met the guy from the Kings, He told me I was a Kings. I just looked at him and I started swearing at him. I'm not going to say what I said. But the guy looks at me like, oh, what the hell's wrong with you? I says, my band was up for a record deal with Elektra, and you guys got the deal, and we didn't. Then I told him that, I was a big fan of the band, and Switching to Glide was a huge hit in Chicago, thanks to Steve Dahl. But so there's my Dreamer story.
Switching to Glide is kind of a guilty pleasure of mine too. I have that on my iPod and I play it quite a bit. So.
It's one of those songs that it never gets old. It never gets old. It's a great song, and ultimately, songs is what counts with bands. And Dreamer had some great songs, but Switching to Glide was kind of irresistible at the time, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes,
definitely an interesting song.
Yeah, and every once in a while, I'll see the fellow on Facebook, and we'll chat. Nice guy though. I love Toronto. It's a great town.
So now you just went around, did clinics for Hammond, or were you a rep for them, or what?
My official title was Senior Product Specialist and Artist Liaison, and I had two jobs. And still have it. One was, like I said, I go everywhere and I train people, train dealers, and then I do programs for music companies where the customers come in and I show them the latest and greatest, and I answer questions about Hammond organs, and Hammond has developed to a point to where it's much more than an organ. We have models that have pianos and electric pianos and clavinets and strings and horns and synths and blah 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 blah, and Leslie's, and which is really fun because I get to meet keyboard players everywhere. The other side of my job is artist liaison, and I've got almost 400 artists. And this has been a complete dream because it's brought me into contact with all my heroes. Literally, I can sit here and my phone can ring and it'll be Mark Stein from the Vanilla Fudge. Used to be Keith Emerson. Rick Wakeman's a friend of mine. Rod Argent from the Zombies. Boy, the list goes on. Chuck Leavell from the Rolling Stones. Felix Cavalieri of the Rascals. Everybody who was a hero of mine when I was a kid are now my pals. And so it's an overwhelming blessing that I have. And Dr. Lonnie Smith, the great jazz organist, is a pal. All the great gospel organists are friends. And I've learned so much from all these people. And not licks. It's not, when you talk with masters, it's not licks that you learn. It's how to make music and why to make music. You see plenty of guys who have great chops and can play 10,000 notes a minute, but in the end, who cares? Then there's guys that play one note and just break your heart. So,
right. A lot of it is in the field. Absolutely.
You bet. Most of it. My pal, Colonel Bruce Hampton, said, intent is everything.
So after Dreamer, All Night Newsboys was before Dreamer, wasn't it?
No, actually.
Was it the other way around? I forget.
Yeah, the Newsboys came afterwards. We were doing almost all originals with Dreamer, and the guys in Dreamer wanted to, they wanted to go out and make money. We didn't make much money with Dreamer, and we weren't really going anywhere to get a record deal. At that time, that was before what the music business is now, where we can all make records in our basement. I said when I was 30, around 30 years old, if I hadn't made it, I was going to go legit. And that was right around that time. And so those guys went and they started the Newsboys, and I thought I was quitting the business, and then I got into comedy, and then all bets were off.
So tell us about the comedy thing. I know you worked with Kevin Matthews and Judy Tenuta. Right.
I work with the list of comedians I work with that goes on. Jim Vos, the tour manager of Styx, and I at that time were friends. And we went out for dinner one night. We were supposed to go to Greektown. It was an ice storm that night. We landed up at a place in Downers Grove. And so we went to dinner there. And that night, it was comedy night. And a guy went up on stage and completely blew us away. Just an incredible comedian. And at that time, he was unknown. And the comedian's name was Phil Sultanic. And he did a set. And it was we just were completely nuts by this guy because he was so great. Ran out the front door. We couldn't talk to him. 2 weeks later, I picked up the Reader, Chicago Reader, and opened it up. And there was an article with the picture of it. I said, there's the guy. And he had just changed his name to Emo Phillips.
Wow.
Okay.
And so immediately we became Emo Phillips fans. And as I am wont to do, I found myself in the dressing room and talking to Emo, and we became friends. And he introduced me to Judy, who was in need of a musician guy, because Judy does a lot of music interact.
She plays the accordion, correct?
He plays the accordion, yes, she does. And I became Judy's music director. I became Judy's music guy. And for, over 10 years, I toured everywhere in the U.S. with her. I did TV specials. I played the Fillmore West with Judy, and produced a couple of her albums, one of which was Grammy nominated. We lost that year to Jonathan Winters, and boy, if you're going to lose to somebody, losing to Jonathan Winters. What's the good news? We got nominated for a Grammy. What's the bad news? Well, it's still good news. We lost to Jonathan Winters.
Right.
That's not.
No. Not too shabby.
That's an easy one. That's an easy one to take.
Yeah.
But from there, through Judy, I got to meet a lot of comics, and I got to be the house band at the Funny Firm Comedy Club, the late lamented Funny Firm downtown, and that's where I worked with everybody and played with everybody, and got to know Kevin Matthews, who started bringing me in at the Loop when Kevin was at the top of the heap, and that put me. I mean, I met everybody, especially at the comedy club, and I worked in comedy for a long time as an accompanist, a punch-up guy. Then I went into Caroline's Comedy Hour for 2 seasons. We won an Ace Cable Award. Worked with the great Richard Jenney.
That was on A&E.
That was on the A&E network. Yeah, Caroline's on Broadway, right in the middle of Times Square, directly across the street from the Brill Building, which was great to go there to work every day. And boy, I worked every great comedian that you can think of, with maybe the exception of Robin Williams and Rodney, but I worked with just about everybody else.
I didn't realize there's so many music in their acts,
Oh yeah, and a lot of them, I would do live scores to some of their stuff, and play music. They do a joke and I'd rip out music behind it. Pretty much the same way Paul Schaefer kind of did for Letterman.
Right.
I'm nowhere near the player Schaefer is, but the same kind of idea. And I was like a built-in sidekick. And for the comics that I worked with heavy, it really worked out great, and it was a lot of fun.
So during this time, you were just doing the comedy route. You weren't involved with any other bands or anything at that time?
No. I did the comedy. I mean, it was a lot of work. I mean, we did a lot of shows, and I did recording with Judy, and then I was also I was doing a lot of radio at that time. I was doing Kevin. I was a co-host of a radio show with the great Brian McCann, who had so many great years on the Conan O'Brien show.
Sure, yeah.
And then I was also sidekick for Morton Downey Jr. on radio. And Mort was a singer, and we did a lot of recording of songs. I wrote songs with Mort, and what a character he was. I mean, it was an education to sit in the radio studio with him. And we were on everywhere in America except Chicago. And the show came from Chicago.
Wow.
But that's a whole nother thing. Now, the bunch of crazy people that I met on that show, and Morton himself was just such a character. I learned so much about radio and improv and stuff from Mort. He wasn't the monster that you see, that his persona is. He was the sweetest, nicest man, family man, and generous to a degree I can't even believe, and kept me going for a long time.
So now get back to Kevin Matthews. Why were you called the One-Armed Orchestra?
Well, I'd sit up in the studio and I'd have my keyboard and I'd just play cues. I'd play sound effects and play cues, and the way the character developed, Kevin would say, how can you play that piano when you only have one arm? People can't see you have one arm. And that was the running joke, the One-Armed Orchestra.
It's theater of the mind, right?
Theater of the mind, sitting there with Jim Shorts every day. And so people still know me, and when they see me, it's like, oh man, play Earl's theme, which for 2 years was the most played piece of music on WLUP. No other piece of music was played more than Earl's theme.
Wow.
I didn't make any money off of it, thank you, WLUP, but it's still fun, and people still ask about it.
So now, did you play in Kevin's band? Because Kevin also played some live shows.
Yeah, Kevin. No, I wasn't part of. What the heck did he call his band? No, I didn't play in Kevin's band.
I can't think of it either now.
Yeah, it was Ed Zeppelin.
That's right. Yeah,
Ed Zeppelin.
Right. That's right.
No, I didn't play. I would do shows with them where I would come out and play keyboards with Kevin while he would do his stand-up, but then I would not play with Ed Zeppelin. However, I was a Bubba. I was a part of the All Bubba Blues Band with Buzz Killman.
Okay.
And that was a lot of fun. Buzz is a great guy and a really heavy-duty blues man, and we played some great shows. It was a lot of fun playing with Buzz.
Because I played the Dancing Noodles, and we played with Kevin. Did quite a few shows with Kevin, and also did some shows with Steve Dahl as well.
Yeah, my the Noodles, of course, I knew Roman well. Yeah, because of Dahl. Because I played in St. Coho Lips. What the heck was the name of Dahl's
the Dolphins?
Band?
The Dolphins.
No. This
Teenage Radiation.
Teenage Radiation.
Teenage Radiation.
Yeah, I did a stint in Teenage Radiation with Potter and Skender and Roman.
So you were the house band for the Funny Firm, right? That's right.
House band for the Funny Firm, kind of a second house MC, and I was like, the best way to put it, I was the Paul Schaefer.
So you were there quite a bit then, right?
Every night, 6 nights a week.
Wow.
And worked with absolutely every great name that you can possibly think of. And, Ray Romano, Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks was a dear friend. Right. Chris Rock came in from time to time. Richard Jenny, the great. He was on Tonight Show all the time. And
Tom Dreesen.
Tom Dreesen. There you go. Dreesen was a super nice guy, and he'd come in and we just cleared the decks and put him on stage. Great Chicago comics and great national comics. It was really a great time.
So you were also playing with the Ides of March then at that time, right?
Ides of March, that was in 90, and I got a call from Peterick, saying, "Hey, we've been asked to play the Berwyn Summer Fair behind Cermak Plaza in Berwyn. We never had a full-time keyboard player. Would you like to come and play with us?" I said, it's the old thing. Let me think about it. Okay. Larry Millis he played keyboards with the band during their glory period, the golden days. But Larry's not a keyboard player. Larry's a guitarist and a singer primarily, but he could play some keyboards, so he was drafted to play keyboards. And so when the Ides got back together, Larry wanted to play guitar, and they wanted, in order to do some of the Survivor stuff, they needed a full-time keyboardist. And I'm from Berwyn. I went to the same schools as the guys. I went to Morton High School. I was in the same high school bands and grade school bands, and the guys all knew me and I knew them. And so it was, hey, let's ask Scott, and I can play a little bit. And and we had 25,000 people in the back of Cermak Plaza at that show. And it was so much fun. We decided it was only going to be a one-shot deal. And that was in 1990, and here we are in 2020. We never looked back and never stopped, and we ain't stopping anytime soon. And they made me very shortly thereafter. They made me a member of the band, which was like, for a Berwyn guy, that was like joining the Beatles. It was amazing.
Right, sure.
It was amazing, and it still is amazing. Every once in a while, I'm on stage and I'm, how did I get here? I'm gonna pinch myself. And now I get to write. To write some tunes with Peterick.
That was my next question. If you do any writing and contributing to the writing with the
I've been a right hand to JP for a long time. I am the proud co-writer of most of our Christmas stuff. All our sports tunes that we had. I mean, we had Finally Next Year for the Cubs. Hey, hey, holy cow! That went on a record that was sold in every major league ballpark, and it was played all the time in Cubs Park. We've got a pretty good sports thing. We have sung the national anthem for the White Sox. I think it's 35 times.
Wow.
And we sang the last night game at the old Comiskey Park and the first night game at the new Comiskey Park.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
We go back with the Sox a long time, and but then we sang for everybody else except the Blackhawks, Bulls, and boy, that was some great memories. Standing on the court at the stadium during the Bulls shoot around, and there's Scottie Pippen, and there's Jordan, and there's Dennis Rodman, and all the greats of the Bulls, and they're all like shooting around, and their ball would come, like would go somewhere, and the Cummins would have to like catch it and throw it back to him, and passing the ball to Jordan. It's like, oh, what?
Yeah,
because I'm a sports idiot.
Yeah,
you can trust me to do minor surgery better than you can trust me to play first base in a ball game. So. But it's, when you're Chicago, and you gotta love our teams.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
So tell us about some of the television and the movie stuff that you've done, and some jingle work as well.
Sure. Well, of course, Caroline's Comedy Hour did 2 seasons, the last 2 seasons, and we won an Ace Cable Award for the last season, which was really great, and that was a lot of fun. I've done 6 TV specials with Judy Tenuta from all over. I've done TV with Paul Provenza, Richard Jenny, different comedy shows where they've used my music, and then through Len Ostrovich, who was the major domo over at the Funny Firm, I got tied up with a guy named Greg Gliena, who's a great, great comic, and he was a director. He asked me to score a movie with him, and I did. And then the next movie that he wrote and that I scored was called Meet the Parents. It was a great movie. It was really fun, and it's sad. And what happened is that Emo Phillips was the producer of that movie, and it was optioned by National Lampoon. Remember National Lampoon? And they were going to release it as one of their first movies. And then National Lampoon went sideways, and it sat for 10 years. And Greg there wasn't any interest. Everybody said it's a great movie, but I don't know. And then finally, I got a call one day. It was like, hey, the rights to the movie were sold. The movie was sold. I said, to who? Spielberg? And I was, yeah. I went and I think it was Universal picked it up, and then they decided to rewrite it and remake it, and none of my music was used, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I know that all those people watched that movie a bunch, and whoever scored the movie probably watched it, and it became one of the highest-grossing movie franchises of all time. But I can say that I was there at the when the seeds were being planted. I did another movie with Judy and Greg called Desperation Boulevard, which was great. She played a faded child star, and the movie, it was a great movie. Judy was great in it, but the movie never went anywhere. Boy, it's better than a lot of movies you see on cable. Maybe someday it'll come out, but. Jingles, I did stuff for McDonald's. I did stuff for a long time. We were the Fruit Loops people. That was in the 2000s. Actually, in the late 90s, before 9/11, because 9/11 torpedoed the jingle market as we knew it. It never recovered. But I did a lot of Fruit Loops commercials, Wolverine boots. I did get to do one commercial, one Empire carpet commercial.
Nice.
And I went to the Jingle House, which was downtown, and said, okay, today you're going to sing on an Empire carpets commercial. I went, oh my God, that's great. And then in through the door walked Lynn Haldren, the guy. And when he walked in, our eyes just went. It was like it's like God walking in. For Chicago, and he was a nice guy. And that 982-300 Empire. That's Lynn Haldren singing that.
Really?
That's that guy and a gal. I don't know who the gal was, but they're doing all the voices, and you still hear that tag on all the Empire carpet commercials. That's Lynn Haldren singing that.
Wow. All this many years, too.
All this many years. And he passed, but
right.
Boy, to stand around the microphone and sing with that guy for a Chicagoan, come on. That's
yeah.
Well, he actually owned the ad company that picked up the Empire business. That's what
I didn't know that.
Supposedly,
wow,
he owned the ad company, and he was going to hire actors or whatever to do it. But the Empire liked him and wanted him to do the commercial for him, and that's why he was in every one.
And now he's a cartoon. They made him into a cartoon.
He's an avatar.
An avatar. I wonder if the family's still making Gitas off of that.
Oh, I'm sure.
But boy, to stand around a microphone, we were all like, oh my God, this is for a Chicago guy,
Yeah, that's very cool.
So outside of music and movies and comedy, you're an accomplished writer too.
Yeah, I've always liked to write, and I probably should have went into that line of work a lot earlier. I probably would have made more money, but then again, money has never been my stick. I've written.
You do it because you love it, right?
Well, like Sherlock Holmes used to say, the work is its own reward. But that don't butter the toast. You know, as I'm saying. But as far as the writing goes, I've got a number of books. I did a whole bunch of children's books for the Long Hill Company that won awards, and then I've written books on. I've co-written books on topics from financial planning to focus in education. And the latest book I've written with a gal named Marge Lease. And everybody's going to find this funny. It was she lost over 200 pounds. This Marge Lease. She was on the Today Show, and she's and she had a great story. And her and her husband are Ides of March fans, and they asked me to help them write Marge's story. And Marge has so the book is called Too Much Me, available on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really a fun book. It's an easy read, and if anybody out there is carrying a little bit too much weight, and you want to get a little inspiration, pick up the book Too Much Me. I wrote the book when I was over 450 pounds. Which is very ironic. I lost a lot of weight. I was sick 2 years ago and lost a lot of weight. So I'm still a fat bastard, but.
Well, I imagine we can all, I know I certainly could lose a few pounds, you know. So.
I went from, I'm not, now I was just saying, now I'm just a garden variety fat guy. I'm not like oh man, look at him. Jesus.
So how are you surviving the COVID-19 thing, the coronavirus? Are you? I mean,
What?
Obviously the band isn't playing. Obviously the band isn't playing anymore, or not right now.
Well, we did do a couple of videos. We did do a couple of quarantine videos, and the last one we did, which we did it with the Cornerstones of Rock, which you guys haven't. I don't know if you were going to ask about that, but I've been very lucky. For the past bunch of years to play in the Cornerstones of Rock for Chicago rock and roll, and the Cornerstones of Rock. It was a TV special on Channel 11 on public television, and it was all the great Chicago bands from the '60s. It was the Ides, the Crying Shames, the New Colony Six, the Buckinghams, Shadows of Night. Teddy Aliotta from Aliotta, Haynes, and Jeremiah, and we did a wonderful. And they still play it on PBS a lot. Channel 11, you'll see it a bunch. And the Ides of March were the house band, so I got to play and sing with Tom Duty and J.C. Hook, Toad and Hook from the Crying Shames, Ronnie Rice, Ray Graffia, and Bruce from the New Colony Six, Nikki and Carl from the Buckinghams on the TV show. We had Dennis Stefano from the Bucks as well, Jimmy Sands, and I get to play all these great Chicago rock and roll songs. You know, Kind of a Drag. I don't play Kind of Drag because the Bucks have their own band, but Could Be War in Love by the Crying Shames, and all the great New Colony Six hits, and oh my God, it's just so great. So we did Sands wrote a parody of Summertime Blues called Pandemic Blues, and we did it. We did a video on it, and it's got tens of thousands of hits already. I'll give you a link to that if you want to put that up on your site. Really cool.
It came from China, across the ocean and the borders. The people dropping so fast, we can't keep them in order. We're on the same team, and you know that's true.
America's one color, son, red, white, and blue.
Look around and wonder what we're gonna do. Music is a cure for the pandemic blues.
But other than that,
we've interviewed quite a few of those. Tom Duty and J.C. Hook and of course Jim Peterick. We just interviewed Carl Giammarisi, and then of course we interviewed Dave Zane
Dave's great. Boy, what a talent! What a great player he is.
And Mike Aquino as well, who I know you work with.
Oh my God, the captain. One of the greatest pure musicians I know. I do a lot of production and for other people. And when I need guitar stuff, I call Mike. And I mostly work over at Peterick's studio, private studio. And I bring Mike in and I pick up a book and a cup of coffee and I go sit down and I go, Mike, put some guitar on this song. and he always plays the right thing.
He always comes through for you, right?
I mean, his sense of the appropriate is just amazing. There's nothing he can't play. You know, when you see a true master like that, and on top of it, you could not ask for a nicer, less egotistic, more eager to help, and you know, I mean, I've done 2 albums of my own music, and with the third one about to be released, I've had Mike in. You know, I do all the guitar solos on my records, and I feel like a jerk because I get Aquino in to play guitar, and then I say, I'm going to put my solo over this. I feel sheepish. I'm like, but it's my record. You know, I can do what I want.
That's right.
So tell us about some of your music.
Well, I've got 2 albums out. The first one was called Outside the Inside. The second one is called Own Life. Also available at scottmaymusic.com.
Ding, ding, ding,
and on Amazon, you know, and after I turned 60 years old, and I says, I've never released an album under my own name, and I always wrote songs, and so I says, well, what the heck, let's try it. It turned out great. I took all these songs, and I sat down with Jim Peterick and Larry Millis, and I said, should I sing these or should I get somebody to come in and sing it? And they encouraged me to sing it myself. And I played pretty much all of it myself. With drum computers, I've got a MIDI studio here in my house that I can work on. And I farmed out a couple of things on both records. I had some great I did some crowdfunding. I had some very generous people. I had some great people play on my first 2 records. Do we have time for one short story?
Sure. No.
Well, one of my dear friends for a long time is Mike Pinder from the Moody Blues, the guy who said "Breathe deep, the gathering gloom" and played Mellotron. And the Moody Blues never did sessions for anybody. If you notice, you'll never see any of the Moody Blues names as a guest musician on anybody else's albums. And that was a decision that the Moody Blues made, that they were just going to be inside the Moody Blues. However, there were 1 or 2 exceptions. Mike Pinder, the Mellotron player, is an expert tambourine player. And he played tambourine on John Lennon's, one of John Lennon's records, old ones, but he also played tambourine on Double Fantasy, uncredited. The Moody's and the Beatles were great friends, and John Lennon loved the way Mike played tambourine. And so Mike went and played tambourine on John Lennon's record. So
what song was that?
We can't say because he was uncredited. But he's on the album. And Mike's told the story, so I don't have any problem telling it. But so when I was recording my first album, there was one song, and Larry says, "Boy, this could use tambourine." I says, "Aha, wait a second." So I called Mike. I said, "Would you care to play tambourine on my record?" He goes, "Sure, matey. Just send the track." I sent the track out to him, and he came back, and he sent me back a bunch of 3, 4 different tambourine tracks for the song, and it was great. And he said I could use his name. So I became one of the few, very, very few people that had a Moody Blue as a session player on a record. And it's one step removed from John Lennon, which was really cool.
Very cool.
But now I've just finished my new album, which I've kept the title a secret, but I'll say it here because I'm going to announce it shortly. The name of the record is Isle of View, ISLEOFVIEW, Isle of View, and you can. That doesn't take an Einstein to figure that one out. And I've got some great artists on this record. I really reached out. I did a co-write with Peterick of a song, and I wanted something different. And over the years, I made friends with a band called the Time Jumpers in Nashville. And if you don't know who the Time Jumpers are, there's the top session guys of Nashville, the veterans. And one of the guitar players is Vince Gill. And yeah, and I made friends with Andy Reese and Brad Albin and Billy Thomas, who are the Andy's the lead guitarist and Brad's the bass player and Billy's the drummer. And I called Andy. I says, would you guys want to play on my record? And Andy said, sure. And it took a number of months to get it to work, but he finally set it up. And my wife and I went to Nashville to record these. I had a couple songs, and we went into Crystal Gale's studio on Music Row. And I also asked my friend Mark Jordan to come and play B3. I didn't even play keyboards while I was there; I just sang. And Mark played on all the great 70s. Van Morrison hits. He also played on Midnight at the Oasis for Maria Muldaur. Played with Jackson Browne, amongst others. So I walked into a Nashville studio with a bunch of Nashville hotshots, and we did 2 songs for my record. So got the great jazz harmonica player Bill Gallison out of New York City, and from Tokyo I've got Koei Tanaka on harmonica, playing some beautiful jazz harmonica. The great Jenny Jarnigan out of Phoenix, up and coming singer-songwriters playing piano with me. And let's see who else. Oh, I've Kari Parker, who's George Benson's drummer. Got a bunch of great people on the record, and it should be out in about a month.
Very good.
Available on Amazon and iTunes.
Amazon, iTunes, and at scottmaymusic.com. And available at when the Ides get back out to playing shows, which should be pretty soon, available there. And my Facebook page, facebook.com/scottmaymusic. Come and visit me.
Well, you kind of answered my next question, how we can find you on social media and on the World Wide Web.
Let's say scottmaymusic.com, SCOTTMAY music.com is my website. And then Facebook, Facebook.com/scottmaymusic. I've got close to 5,000 friends, but I always keep a little room open for people. And then we'll probably have an Isle of View page pretty soon, a follow page. You know, I should be doing what you guys are doing. I should be doing podcasts. I should be doing all this stuff, but you're
a busy man. You're a busy man without one.
It's like, you know what? I get enough of attention. I get enough of stage time. People are so gracious to me. When people follow me on Facebook, and people see me with the band, I get stopped. People say things to me. An incoming call. Well, hey, this is live, isn't it? It's Freddie Glickstein from The Flock. Hold on for a second. Hey, Fredo, I'm doing an interview right now. I'm going to call you back. Maybe these guys can interview you sometime. Okay, I'll call you back. Bye. Freddie Glickstein from The Flock, great Chicago band. You guys should interview him sometime. He's got some stories. When all this shakes out, I'm going to be also playing with a Chicago band called the Dinosaur Exhibit. And Jerry comes, and this guy's from The Flock, the Mauds, and Aura, 4 Days and a Night. My old pal Jerry Smith from the Flock asked me to play keyboards in that band. Actually, he asked me to play keyboards in that band when they first got together, but that was a couple of years ago when I was sick, and I didn't do it. And then the last year he asked me if I would play with them, and I said, sure. And we're getting ready to play our first gigs, and then the COVID-19 hit. And that put a monkey wrench in everything. But when everything shakes out, the dinosaur exhibit will be back, and I should be on keyboards with them.
Well, very good. Well, you've had quite a career, and we wish you continued success with that.
Yeah,
Most definitely.
I'm a lucky man. Sorry for being so long-winded. That's my that's my want. You know, that's every time I should have. I should have.
No, that's the perfect guest for us. You do the talking, we just listen.
No, well, I'm a very, very lucky man. I say I was sick a couple of years ago, and they gave me a week to live, and my great doctor, Dr. G. Shaw out west, pulled me out of the abyss, and I came out of it better and stronger. And knock wood. Wait a minute. I don't have a sound effect for knock wood. Go figure. But here I am, and I want to thank you guys for featuring me on your excellent podcast.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it, and like I said, continued success with everything, and good luck. I hope you're feeling better, and glad to see that you're looking good.
Well, I try. I thought this was going to be a video interview, but I'm not wearing pants.
Is that why you have the purple hair?
No, purple hair. Purple hair is Peter Exting. Because people see me for sitting at a keyboard, all my stuff has got to be from the shoulders up. So that's why I've got my hats and my red glasses.
There you go.
There you go. Well, good luck with I Love You this summer. Hope it does very well, and hopefully we'll see you about playing with somebody somewhere.
Well, yeah, the Cornerstones have two shows that are apparently going to fly in August. And if you go to the Ides of March, theidesofmarch.com, that'll all be listed there. And of course, my website's going to be picking all those up. scottmaymusic.com, and then as business gets back, I'll be around with Hammond organ.
Very good.
All righty, Scott. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks. So that was Scott May, keyboardist with the Ides of March, and just about anybody else, I guess. He's got some great stories too, doesn't he, Ray?
Some outstanding stuff, man. I mean, the comedy lifestyle there. He was working with all them comedians, doing jingles and writing books and scoring movies, and God knows what else he scored.
Well, he's scored a wife and a couple of kids. I know that, I think.
That's right. That's right. But that was great seeing Scott. Some great stories there. I hope everybody enjoyed that.
What a great guy, too. A very nice guy, too.
He is a nice guy. He is. You're a nice guy, too, Paul.
Thanks.
You know, some people may not say so, but you're a nice guy.
You, on the other hand.
No, here it comes. I knew that was coming.
I'm just joking, you.
I knew that was coming. So
right.
Make sure you get out there and pick up his new album, I Love You, this summer when it comes out.
He's going to be out in about a month or so.
Yeah, should be some great stuff on there. So join us next week, and when we're going to bring you episode 54. Might be somebody you'd be really interested in hearing. What you think?
I think it will be.
I think so too. So don't be shy. Keep an eye out on us on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and anywhere you get your podcasts.
That's right. Be sure and listen. Be sure and share those podcasts.
Yes, please share it with all of your friends. Let them know how much fun Paul and I are.
That's right. We are fun guys.
We are a ball of fun guys, the mushrooms of the comedy world, I'm telling you.
That's right. Of the podcast world.
Of the podcast world, that's right. And there ain't no two better mushrooms anywhere.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
We'll see you next week.
See you then. The Rock and Roll Chicago podcast does not own the rights to any of the music that's played on this podcast.
The music is used to promote the band or musicians that are interviewed.
Chicago.